Hello, this is the voice of admin speaking to you from Clan HQ, and we have a very special visitor today. Hello, Michelle.
Hello everybody on the clan.
What a great surprise to have you.
Yes, sorry about that. Didn't give you much warning. Apologies.
That's all right. I mean, it is a pleasure to have you. Now, you've been very busy recently, haven't you?
I have. I've been attending numerous signings for Ghost Hunter, so many thanks to everybody who's turned up. It's been great talking to some of the clanners. I've been up in Edinburgh and Glasgow, and I'm going to be doing various other literary festivals. Yes, I'm doing quite a lot of publicity.
Yes, you are. Well, we've got a complete list on the clan, which we keep up to date, as we, in fact, have just learnt of another booking today from your publicist at Orion, and that will be going up in due course. So, clanners, do keep your eyes open for any changes there, because it might just be that Michelle is going to be visiting your part of the world really soon. And if she is, go along and say hello.
Yeah, do please.
Yeah, make sure you tell her that you are a clanner.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, we told everybody yesterday, so they've only had 24 hours notice, that you were going to be popping in, and we've got some questions for you.
Fantastic. Excellent.
Are you feeling ready and able to give the fullest answers possible?
I will do my best, absolutely. And I guess we ought to issue a general warning. This is going to be about Ghost Hunter.
Yeah.
So if anyone hasn't read it, I may be talking about endings and stuff because, I guess the people who are asking questions mostly have read the book.
I think everyone who has asked questions so far has read the book, and therefore there is a spoiler alert on this podcast. And if you really don't want to know anything about Ghost Hunter, then just turn off now until you've read it.
Yeah,
that's the best
good
thing to
idea.
do. First question comes from XX Lupus XX, and he or she has flagged this up, as everyone does responsibly on the clan, with a Ghost Hunter spoiler. And Lupus says, Michelle, in Ghost Hunter, Torak says, "Goodbye, Renn. Whatever happens, you must know how much I... ... Lupus says, would you mind revealing the rest of that sentence? Or is it the obvious answer?
Hi, Lupus. Great name, by the way. It is the obvious answer, but, well, depending on what you think the obvious answer is. I can't tell you exactly what words Torak would have used because he doesn't actually continue and finish the sentence. I can actually expand a bit on that, though. Why doesn't he continue? From the context, it's a very emotionally overwrought scene. He thinks he's not going to see her again. He wants to get into what he's going to say, everything that he feels about her. I think you can probably guess what he feels, but he doesn't know how to say it. That's why he breaks off. It's pretty difficult. He's only 15. It's pretty difficult to say things like that. So I can't tell you the final words of the sentence because they were never uttered. But I think you know what he feels. You certainly do by the end of the book, I think.
So it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Runu says, woo! Okay, my question. I was wondering, since you're finished with Ghost Hunter, is it likely that you're going to write more stories in Torak's world?
That's an interesting one. I have no plans at the moment to be writing stories completely in Torak's world because I've finished Torak's story. I've given him and Renn and Wolf what I think is a pretty good send-off, but I have finished his story. So at the moment, I don't want to go back, and I think it would spoil it. If I sort of imagine the Lord of the Rings with another book after it, that's going to spoil your enjoyment of the Lord of the Rings as you've seen it or read it. And I don't want to do that to Torak and Renn and Wolf. Equally, if I were to stay in Torak's world, in the world of that time, that part of the world, but without Torak and Wolf, I would find that very strange, and I think you might as well. So that doesn't appeal to me. However, I have been working very hard on an idea that I had about 18 months ago, and all I can tell you, and I think this is something that I've told a few people in signing queues and things, is that I am working on another series, which will be set in a prehistoric time, slightly later than Torak's time, and a different part of the world.
Wow.
But it's one I'm incredibly keen on. And so it's not going to be a complete break, but now I just don't think it would be right. I think it would spoil the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness if I were to add something on.
Well, that's a good hint, and that's definitely something to look forward to then, isn't it?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I hope other people will, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Okay, Hart Croystar Princess, I hope I pronounced that properly, asks several questions. The first one, actually, I can answer, because Hart Croystar Princess says, okay, so this isn't the only chance after Ghost Hunter's release. Will it take a long time before another recording could start? Well, I can tell you, actually, that we will be doing a proper session of podcasts involving questions from absolutely everyone. If you didn't get a chance to get your question in, don't worry, because we don't know when exactly, but it probably won't be more than a month or two.
Yeah.
And Michelle will be coming back, and she will be spending time and answering everyone's question at that point.
Absolutely. This is just a sort of quick drop in, because I didn't want to let it go for too long, after Ghost Hunter was out, to just talk to a few of you, but obviously, yes, I'll be coming back for a full session.
So then she goes on to say, as I haven't got my copy of Ghost Hunter yet, my questions are a bit general. First one, how did you decide naming the lead wolf Wolf? It always occurred to me how comical yet uniquely amazing Wolf's name was, since it was quite frank and simple, whilst the other wolf characters in the books have longer names like Darkfur, etc.
Yeah, thank you for that, and I'm really glad you pointed that out. It took me days to come up with that. It sounds so weird, but all the names I made up, and Wolf's was the most difficult. And I had a page of a green piece of paper on which I wrote all these ridiculous names, because he was a cub at the time, so they were all way too cute. And it took me about 3 days to work out that he didn't have a name; he was just Wolf. So yes, that was a good moment when I came up with that.
Simpler things often being the best.
They often are, yeah.
Second question. In Oathbreaker, of all the animals you could have picked, the sacred ones were black horses. Is there any reason or basis as to why the sacred animals used in that particular story were horses? I'm not complaining, but I am merely curious. I wouldn't be sure either, since I don't really read many books about historical figures besides the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness series. Thank you for your time.
That's nobody's ever asked me that, actually, but it's an interesting one. I mean, the short answer is I just thought up. Horses seem to go with the deep forest, and with that part of the story. So that was what I wanted to do. You always have to, though, as a writer, go around the back of reasons why you're doing things, and they're probably subconscious reasons. I think one of them was that I'd seen, obviously, as you may have, the great cave paintings from the much earlier times, the Paleolithic. Many of them feature horses very strongly, so they were obviously sacred animals we think to many peoples, and so I think sacred horses had been in my mind for a very, very long time. But yeah, interesting question.
Yeah. Joss X asks a question you've kind of half answered, but there's a little bit extra that you haven't. Michelle, I finished Ghost Hunter on Saturday and was wondering what's next. Can you give us any information on when and if the rumoured movie will be made? Thanks, Joel.
Yes, well, the movie is continuing in development, I'm happy to say. And I have seen a script a while ago, and I really liked it. That was a script for Wolf Brother. What I can't say is when exactly it's going to come out, because they haven't, the studio, whose decision it is, obviously, haven't made the final decision, as I understand it, whether or not to film it. Because obviously, quite a lot of challenges, not least of which wolves aren't very good actors. They don't see the point of acting. So you'd have to sort of computer generate the wolf or something. It would be quite expensive and complicated. So I don't know yet when and if so, whether and if so when they're actually going to decide to make the film.
So when you see a wolf in a movie,
yeah,
what is that animal? Is that usually not a wolf?
Well, quite often it isn't a wolf. And I should think clanners know their wolves by now and are pretty able to spot, because they tend to make them bulkier and sort of like huskies or bigger, like Alsatians or German shepherds. And they're not. They're narrow animals. They've got narrow chests and long, thin legs. So quite often they're not. So yeah, what I would say though is, as and when we know anything, it'll be on the clan. In fact, the clan will probably know sooner than I do, practically. And I should also say for auditions, they're not auditioning yet because they haven't taken the final decision. I get a lot of letters from people saying, please, can I be Renn? Do you have any clout? No, I don't have any clout because I didn't want any. I didn't want any involvement. It's a separate art form. So sorry to be so vague, but that's the state at the moment.
Yeah, and as Michelle says, the clan will find out first.
Exactly.
Another one here from Midsummer Wolf Moon. Hi, Michelle. I've read every single book, including Ghost Hunter, and they're my favourite series ever.
Fantastic.
And I know that you have hundreds and thousands of fans all around the world, so I was wondering, when you started to write this series, did you have any idea how popular they would become? And also, did you think about how your readers would relate to Torak and Renn? I, for one, found myself thinking about what Renn would do in different situations.
I think it's a no to both of those, actually. I had no idea. Well, I didn't even know they'd get published, frankly, because I had this idea. I wanted to write about a boy and a wolf in the Stone Age, because those were things that I was very keen on. But I went along to a bookshop and there were no books. There were no novels set in the Stone Age that I could see. There's one series for grown-ups, Clan of the Cave Bear, but there weren't any others. So I thought, well, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe nobody wants to read about them. So no, I had no idea that it would be so popular. And it has been amazing and wonderful to see how people do relate. I mean, I'm really pleased to hear what you've said about how you think about, what would Renn do? I find myself thinking, what would Finn Kedin do if I have sort of problems or worries or something, because I find him very useful as a sort of guide. So, yeah, I think it's great. Fantastic. I'm really pleased.
Polcat says, hi, Michelle, if you read this, and of course you are.
Yes.
I always wondered if you know things about the stories that you don't include in the books, like Torak's Far's name and what the characters are thinking at certain times.
Oh yes.
In other words, are you holding out on us?
I'm afraid I am a lot. Well, I'm not deliberately sort of saying, oh no, you can't find out, and I can. But you have to as a writer, because I do anyway. I have to know lots more than I put in the books, because I have to imagine the whole world. So yes, I have to know Far's name, Torak's mother's name, the whole what went on between Finn Kedin and that woman from the Wolf clan who, he met briefly in, I think, book 4. All that stuff I have to know about, the relationships between the different soul eaters. And the thing is that when you're writing, sometimes you have to make decisions about what to keep in and what to keep out, because I have to make the story move. If I included everything, it would be boring, and then you wouldn't be reading the book because there'd be too much stuff. So I'm afraid the answer is yes.
But also, I'm thinking about all the research that you do. Because, you go on research trips and you spend weeks and weeks and weeks in libraries and things like that.
Even more with that. I mean, yes, you're right. I was talking about the sort of characters and the conversations they have when we're not. So
why do you do all this research when a lot of it, probably most of it, doesn't actually make it into the book?
Well, I've calculated it's probably about 1% that makes it into the books. Wow. The thing is, when you're doing the research, you don't really know which bits are going to be important, and you're not. I'm not completely sure of the exact form of each story events when I go. For example, when I went to North Greenland for Soul Eater, I had a rough idea of how the story was going to pan out. But when I saw the black ice in a part of Greenland, I thought, oh, that's fantastic. That's going to be involved in the climax of the story. And then I could see Torak and Renn there, practically see them. You just don't know what you're going to use.
Polkad also says, do you think you'll be writing any more books for the same sort of age group as Chronicles of Ancient Darkness?
Yes. The answer is yes. I love writing these kind of adventure stories, but with a lot more to them than that. So yes, I'm beginning to work on the next series.
Spirit World says, is there going to be, I think we're going to rewrite that, so, are there going to be any sneak peeks in Ghost Hunter paperback, which won't be out till next year, of course, in the UK, about the next series? In Ghost Hunter, I noticed that the end completed everything from Wolf Brother to Ghost Hunter, the Nanuak Prophecy, and the 7th Soul Eater thing. Did you plan the whole series when you started Wolf Brother?
Well, I'll take the sneak peek thing first. I strongly doubt it, because I'm only at the very early stage of planning the next series, and I won't have, written anything. There won't be anything in final form. So, in fact, I'm going to have to say no, I'm afraid. There won't be a sneak peek. I might be able to give some indication. I just don't know. But I think I'll still be at the early stage of writing the first book of the next series. I've forgotten the next bit of the question. It was a really interesting bit.
Yeah, did you plan the whole series when you started?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I did. That's the answer. I very much did, particularly things like who was the 7th Soul Eater, the backstory, the whole when Torak is going to find out about his mother and why he's a soul eater, all that I had to plan, because I'd have got into terrible problems if I'd just been making it up as he went along. Certain events in the story, how Wolf discovers in Oathbreaker that, Torak isn't a wolf, that I didn't plan. That's the sort of emotional development of the characters that you leave to each book.
And Spirit World says, thank you for all your books. I owe you.
Oh, thank you.
I went to visit London, said Spirit World, hoping to see you.
Oh.
But I didn't.
It's a big city. Sorry about that.
Hope I see you if I went there again.
Oh, that's really sweet of you. No, it's difficult. Spottings of me are quite rare, because I tend
Extremely.
to. Yeah, I live in South Wimbledon, and I don't go out much. And when I'm in London,
it's to
when I do
swim with killer whales.
Exactly. So sorry about that.
XX Lupus XX is back again with another good question. In a previous interview, you said that everything that happened in the books could have happened in real life.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen someone spirit walk before? If so, how? I'll do it myself in my backyard.
I haven't seen someone spirit walk, but I've talked to someone who has spirit walked, or who believes they have spirit walked. I mean, the thing about this is, it depends on whether you're a materialist like me, or you just believe that in the possibilities of the human brain, or if you actually believe in spirits and things like that. So, for example, a spirit walker, someone who a shaman in some cultures they're called that, they believe that their soul, or what part of their soul, leaves their body and travels to the spirit world. Now, you or I might say, well, no, actually, you're just under the influence of magic mushrooms or a trance you've induced or something, and you feel like that, but you're not actually experiencing it. But they might say, no, I really am. And that's the difference. I can't spirit walk. I can have a glass of wine, but I wouldn't I wouldn't suggest that you do, because I don't know how old you are. So that's what I mean by everything could have happened. And when Torak spirit walks, it's all consistent with his belief that he is actually spirit walking, but it's also consistent with my belief that he probably isn't, in the sense of his soul's leaving his body. So actually his body doesn't do anything that it couldn't do in real life.
Very interesting, that boundary.
Yeah.
Long Live Wolf says, why did you never reveal Torak's father's name, even though you had a chance to in Ghost Hunter? And Spirit World also chimes in and says, I wanted to know his name so badly.
I'm sorry. I just feel that there are some things that should remain mysterious, and that's one of them. And I also feel that if you heard his name right at the end of the series, it just might sound wrong. It might not be what you've imagined. It would fall short. It would be bound to fall short, because far is far, and he's become a very mysterious figure now. So no, it's just, there are some things that you're not going to find out. Sorry.
Oh, well. Canidae says, now that's a Latin name, isn't it? Canidae. I think it's
so. I'm not sure.
Group of so I'm wondering if it's not crows, that's corvid.
That's corvidae.
So Canidae, I think maybe.
Canidae, CANID.
Yeah,
the canids. Yes, that's the family of dogs.
Dogs and wolves, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good name.
Foxes,
educated name.
wolves. Yeah, exactly.
Intelligent.
We're talking to a canid.
We are. Yes. All right. Canidae says, hello, Michelle. I'm one of your many fans, and I was wondering if the fire opal is supposed to be a topaz. It's my birthstone. And what about the red eye? Was that supposed to be Mars or what planet?
Well, the fire opal is supposed to be... I always thought it was going to be a fire opal, an actual, there is a stone called a fire opal. So topaz, no, because that's more yellowish. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just a red stone, and it's very, very red, and this is a society where gems were unknown, so it's going to have an immense impact. The red star, again, I don't want to be sort of too specific, but no, I didn't think it was Mars. There is another star, and I can't for the life of me now remember the name. It might be Aldebaran. I think that was it. I mean, I know I worked all this out, but that's back in Wolf Brother days, so I haven't got my notes with me. I think it's Aldebaran.
I think it is. I think that's a red star.
Yeah.
One or two more questions from Canidae. Did the stars ever inspire you? Because I know that whenever I can't see the stars, I have trouble writing.
Wow, how interesting. Stars, intimidate me more than inspire me. I find the moon more inspiring than stars. Of course, I live in London, so, with light pollution, we don't actually get that many stars. I might well find them more inspiring. The few times I've been in the desert, that's been wonderful, and I've actually been able to see the Milky Way. Yeah. But no, I think everybody gets inspiration from different things. The moon for me, but oh wow, I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, and Canada finishes by saying, "You are just probably the best author I have ever read."
Oh, fantastic! Thank you very much.
And from which country is your favourite cover?
From which country is my favourite cover? Oh, I don't know if I have a complete favourite. I am very fond of the Swedish covers because they're completely different. I mean, I love the English covers. I love that look, but I think perhaps because the Swedish covers are so different with those, very much in-your-face pictures of Torak and Renn and Wolf, I do rather like them.
Mm. Chinquix says, "Hi Michelle, Ghost Hunter spoiler here. I wanted to ask, how did it feel coming up with the character Dark? He's only mentioned for a relatively short period in the series, yet he becomes quite an important character. I must admit, he's very nearly my favourite.
Oh, fantastic.
Was he based on anyone or anything? Also, he was abandoned from his clan for being an albino. Yeah. In those times, in reality, did they have beliefs about what we now know as albinos?"
Well, they would definitely have had beliefs. Anyone strange or unusual, like twins, for example, there are lots of different beliefs. I'm talking, of course, I don't know what Stone Age people believed, but I'm talking about more recent hunter-gatherer cultures. We know what they believe, people like the Inuit and some American Indian tribes. So lots of different beliefs about albinos, special or cursed or, in some way different. Dark himself, I'm glad you like him. I've always liked him. I've known about him right from the beginning. Almost before I knew the story of Ghost Hunter, I knew that there was going to be this character, and he was going to be an albino called Dark, and very, very alone. And he hasn't changed much. So I was really looking forward to writing him, and I had a wonderful time writing him. So I'm glad you like him. Thank you.
Nice. Yes. And finally, Renn's My Sweetheart says, "Whoa, this is big. I don't know what to say." But then goes on to ask a very intelligent question. If you could write from Renn's point of view, would you?
If I could write, well, I do write from Renn's point of view, really, because part scenes are written from her point of view. So I may not be understanding your question properly. Maybe you mean sort of a whole story from her point of view. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'd want to do that. I mean, people have often asked me, would you write Finkedin's story, as a sort of prequel? And there are some characters that they're great for, a sort of supporting role. And in a sense, Renn is one of the main, she is, an equally main character with Torak. But on her own, I probably wouldn't. I think it's the interplay between switching from her point of view to Torak's to Wolf's that I enjoy. But interesting question.
Michelle, that's it for the moment. I want to say thank you so much for popping in to see us, making time in your busy schedule. And to everyone who didn't ask a question but wants to, you will get a chance. Don't worry. You will get lots and lots of notice, as I say, probably about a month or two, something like that. Yeah.
Well, thanks very much, everybody who was quick on the draw and got their questions in. Great questions. And I'm looking forward to the next batch in a month or a few weeks. Yeah. Thanks a lot.